Hey everybody, JoeToProCycling.com. Tony here doing one of our first video interviews for the site. On the site you've seen, we've done different interviews with guys around the world actually on just their cycling experiences and everything else. And so we're back here in Schlegel's Bike Shop here in Oklahoma City, and Aaron's one of the guys that works here, and we had an opportunity to, I was in a group ride with him and just started asking him some questions and realized that he had some really cool experiences and things he's learned as a cyclist, and so I wanted to kind of bring him in here and do a quick little interview and have a conversation. So thanks, Aaron, for joining us here on Joe to Pro. I guess the first question is, how long have you been cycling?
Since I was 12, and I'm 33 now. So you do the math. That's a pretty good time, pretty long time.
And how did you, when it comes to even competitive cycling, what was your journey? I mean, you didn't start off racing when you were 12, I would assume. Like, how did that come out, or did you start right away?
Yeah, pretty quick. Since I could get on a bike, a racing bike. I mean, we always had BMX bikes, but my older brother was a runner, and he saw American Flyers, the movie, and wanted a bike through that. And my parents thought he was crazy that he wanted a $400 bike, but they ended up, I think they got him one, and then they got me one too, and just kind of took it from there. And I think I did my first race, and I was probably 13 or 14 years old.
Oh, very
out in
cool.
Clinton.
And was that like a road bike then?
Yeah, it was a 14-mile. Oh, the race?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a road race, but it was a road bike. I had
Okay.
like a Bridgestone with a little bitty frame and giant wheels, so, as a typical little kid, all stretched out.
All stretched out on it and rolling.
Yeah, it was hilarious, but big helmet. And it was definitely a different time back then.
Well, what would you say from cycling and even racing and some of that? What have been some of your best experiences getting to race as a cyclist?
Some of the stuff started early on. Back in that time, there was a big push for juniors with the Olympic movement, things like that. We had a lot of juniors that came out of here. So we did some big races like Tour of the Future in Bisbee, Arizona, which is now the Vuelta de Bisbee. Yeah. That was Tour of the Future. It was juniors only. And we had, I think, 6 or 7 man teams, and it was a 5-day stage race.
Oh, wow.
And then we did Casper Classic, which was in Casper, Wyoming. It was a 7-day stage race for juniors. They had pros there too, but and then some of the big national events in Seattle and Indianapolis, stuff like that.
So you get to travel a bunch even when you were still in your teens and stuff then, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were 15, 16 years. I was 15 years old when we were going out, jumping in the van and going. Somebody older that could drive, or our coach or somebody would take us, and we were all over the country. And
was your brother part of that too? Because you mentioned he was kind of into it.
He's older than me. He's 7 years older than me, so he was kind of in and out, and he was in the military too. So he was doing some military cycling stuff, but he was already gone by the time I was doing all this until I was about 18. And I took a break for about 4 or 5 years and went to college and stuff, and kind of had a traditional life. But then, of course, I crept back into cycling. And things changed from there. So those experiences, Tour of the Gila, big stage races, and then we had the one-day stuff around here too. But those are some of the most memorable events that I did. And then when we got back into cycling, I started some collegiate stuff, or did some collegiate racing, and went from there, and then some of the big pro races were probably the coolest. Because
you got an opportunity to be a pro for a while, correct?
Yeah.
So what did how did that come to be, and what's that story look like for you?
Yeah, it's kind of a fairy tale. Everybody wanted to be a pro when we were kids, and I did some national racing and some national level stuff, but just didn't make it. And at that time it's tough to figure out if you want to be a cyclist forever, or do you want to be a normal kid, play football, what is it, etc. And like I said, I went away for 5 years, and I never left the friends, but I left the sport for a while.
Right.
Didn't ride at all. Mountain bikes every once in a while. And then just trying to get in shape for snowboarding, actually.
Very cool.
To get in shape and go up to altitude and do that stuff, we started riding on one of my buddy's birthdays, and that was in July, middle of summer. We decided we're going to start riding, in the middle of summer. So I drug out all the old stuff and started riding, and like I said, I did the OU at the time, had a collegiate team.
So that's Oklahoma University?
Yeah, University of Oklahoma. There was a guy that really had that program going. Hosted a race, I did it. I did the B race by myself and won. The first race back that I had done, and that was the bug again.
Yeah, you got hooked back into it.
Yeah, I was I was hooked at that point. So I started riding and training and losing some weight because I had, put on weight, just normal.
I know what that's like. Well, yeah, I'm there. I feel that.
Just shedding some of the muscle mass that I had in my upper body.
Yeah.
And leaving it on in the legs. And I was a Cat 3 back when I was a junior, so I was still a Cat 3.
Okay.
And then started racing with Mathis Brothers. That was the club team.
Okay.
That was the sponsor at that time.
And that was based out of Oklahoma City?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Oklahoma City, and did that, and just started training, and had more time. Started grad school actually, which you got to study a lot, but then you have time too.
Right.
So I could balance.
You could kind of manage your own schedule that way.
Yeah, and get the training in, and I was doing exercise science anyway, so it kind of went together. Did some 3 racing, and I was blessed with a pretty good sprint.
Cool.
So most 3 races come to sprints. And so I was getting some points pretty good because I was winning quite a bit, and kept going from there. Catted up to a 2, and at the time there was the Mathis Brothers Elite team that was going on with some of the guys that were around here, and got a chance to ride with them. We did some bigger races that I went.
And that was up mainly in the continental U.S. You did a lot of your pro races?
Yeah, this was all domestic racing.
Okay.
We did a little bit in Mexico.
Okay.
But yeah, this was all domestic stuff.
Very cool.
But there's racing all over.
Yeah.
So.
And you're not a pro now, so what happened?
So what happened was, so the story goes is we turned pro. We did the amateur racing, which you race pros, and the pro one too. I catted up 3-2, and then 2-1 pretty quick. And we raced in 2003 as elite amateurs, you'd call us. And you race the pros all the time, so we were used to it. And then 2004, we got the opportunity to go pro with Mathis Brothers Sharper Image as our title sponsors. And I got a slot on that team. It was a team based out of here, but we had some guys from the Northeast, some from Texas and things like that. So
very cool.
Went pro that year, and those were some of the big races. San Francisco, most of all the pro races we did, that was probably my favorite. I love races like Tour of the Gila, but it's a climbing race.
Yeah.
I'm not a climber.
There you go.
San Francisco was an amazing race. It was very tough. We were racing the big time Euro guys.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia races were pretty cool too. Having 100, 200,000 people screaming at you going up those hills. It's
almost like you're probably not used to it because so much of cycling is spent out, you know, just a couple guys are by yourself, and all of a sudden there's this giant crowd watching you push up a hill or something.
Yeah, we were all pretty much new pros, and it was an eye-opener, but it was excellent. It was a cool experience. And then just, the way sponsors go, sometimes that doesn't go well. Yeah. And so we kind of lost our contracts. And but I wasn't done. We were late in the year, and I ended up racing for a team out of Texas the following year, and still did successful stuff there. And then the following year rode with a team from Specialized, and or as a factory team, and then halfway through that season broke my collarbone at Memorial Day weekend in Fort Worth at their state crit. And then 6 weeks later, first race back, 2 laps into the race, back down on the collarbone. A guy went down in front of me, back down, and then broke my hip too.
Oh, so wow.
That kind of ended the career right there.
Yeah, that would be significant.
Yeah, so that was significant, surgery and pins and stuff like that. But it was probably time to let me finish school and work on my degree and things like that, and go into the other side of the sport eventually.
Well, that's where now you spend your time here at Schlegel's as what's your official title here?
Performance director.
Performance director, and you do a lot of the pro fit and helping people get on bikes well and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when it comes to that, what would you say is a couple of the common mistakes you see cyclists making as they're getting into cycling about fit and getting on a bike?
Yeah, with fit, because there's a ton of things with cycling. It takes forever to learn everything about the sport. That's what's so neat, is it's got everything. It's not just buy a set of running shoes and basically go run.
Right.
There's so much that goes into it. Common mistakes in fitting, usually, they don't get fit.
Yeah, they just jump on a bike or think that just adjusting the height of the seat is enough.
Right, and just eyeballing things, or sometimes, here at our shop, we're pretty good about getting people pre-fit, sized properly when they're even selecting a bike, so that we know that bike is going to fit them comfortably.
Because bikes have different geometries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they fit differently, and we can manipulate a bike to make it fit somebody, but it may not handle very well.
Right.
So getting them on the correct bike, or letting them choose between 2 or 3 different bikes, is what we like to do. And then from there, getting a proper fit of saddle height, fore aft, get the bars comfortable. And some of the mistakes that people make is just fiddling with things, and never really going to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, say I don't like this. I'm going to turn it down, this much, and not realizing how it's stretched.
But if there was one thing fit wise that I think makes the biggest contribution, it's probably the saddle. Of course, saddle height and fore aft is important, so the legs not overextended. But just the tilt of the saddle can affect how the hand pressure is, and if you've got numb hands, tilting it back obviously can cause some numbness. In the
other areas,
in the sensitive areas, and so people battle that, and that's the mistake I think is they think they're supposed to be used to that because cycling is painful.
Right.
So they think, well, I'm supposed to be in pain,
numbness,
it hurts, but I still love it. I'm still gonna.
I'll be okay.
The thing is, technology's come pretty far. Understanding anatomy in the bike fit world just in the past 2 or 3 years. And so there's some offerings in saddle selections and just the way we bike fit now compared to the old ways that can alleviate most of that issue.
Cool.
So numbness is not normal. That's what I always tell people. It's not normal. Don't try to get used to it because you won't.
If you need, and that's where it's I like the idea of the pre-fit one. That's part of where we talked about in Joda Pro before about having a good bike shop that you feel comfortable asking questions and having a good process for all that. Now, in cycling, you started really young, but if you would say there was kind of like I'm sure there's many things you learned as you were cycling and on the bike doing well, but what would be one kind of key learning about when you're on the bike in a race? What's a key learning that you had that was a point for you, a milestone for you? For me, it was, like I said, I was blessed with a really good sprint. I couldn't climb hills, and I couldn't time trial very well, but I could sprint. So if I could make it to the end of the race, I was pretty good at taking it out. Right? But, so I learned how to win really early, which is, because I did some coaching, and I try to advise young guys is, they ask how to get faster and things like that, and it's not so much that, moving up through the categories is just getting points, it's learning how to win. That's the point. That's the most difficult thing to do, and then it becomes the easiest thing to do. And it's difficult for lower categories to understand that because they just get points and then move up. But learning how to win is probably the most difficult thing. But the thing that I try to get people to work on, even if it's a training ride or a city sign sprint, learning how to win that, whether you have to go off the front early, or you sit in the draft, or you save your energy, etc. Knowing when to go and how to win how to do that is key.
Yeah, because then that really teaches you when it comes down to the end, because that's what racing is about. If it was just riding, then it wouldn't matter. But this is racing.
That's a big difference there.
Recreational riding, it doesn't matter. Enjoy the time on the bike. Racing is about winning, so learn how to win.
Learn how to win. Very
no matter what category you're in.
No matter what it is.
Don't wait till I get to the top, then I'm going to win. Win at a Cat 5, win at a Cat 4, Cat 3.
Learn to win the whole way through.
Win your training rides, the training races that we have around here. Those are the biggest things. That's
very cool. Well, where can, as people are connecting and seeing this video now on YouTube and on the Joda Pro site, are you on Twitter or Facebook, those sorts of things?
I'm on Facebook, mildly, I guess. I'm a what would you call me? Facebook. I read, but I don't post a lot on Facebook.
Okay.
Of course, I read a lot of, I'm having coffee here, or I'm at the grocery store, and I try not to put that kind of stuff on Facebook. I like the funny stuff. If somebody can point me to some
funny stuff,
comic relief in the day on Facebook, I love it.
But they can also find you here at Schlegel's Bike Shop here in Oklahoma City,
and Monday through Friday.
And contact you through the site.
Yeah, we have a website, and it's got info and my background that's on there.
Very cool.
They can email me through there, call the shop.
Fantastic.
And they'll see me on rides every once in a while.
Yeah, that's where we first met.
Exactly.
So, well, thanks, Aaron, for taking the time for the interview.
You're welcome.
And Joda Pro, there you go. That's just a chance to hear the story of somebody obviously racing for a long time, and you get a chance to hear his story and his heart and some of the learnings he's had. Definitely hear from it. I'm grabbing win at every category. Win what you do. The difference between racing and recreation is huge. So thanks for being here. Talk to you guys later.